Grand rising and priming powerful beings. Out to you. Welcome to another Ed Talks Daily. Today I'm going to be talking about setting up week for success. A lot of people don't really set up the week. They just kind of like, okay, it's another week. Let's just, oh my God, let's go through it today again. Let's go through this week once more. But today I'm going to be talking about how do you set it up? How do you set it up for success? What are some things you can do to just get yourself and get a momentum going, get a momentum growing? So that's pretty much what I'm going to be talking about because it's something that I'm focused on myself. So once you are able to set yourself up for success, that means that you do certain things like laying down the tracks so that the train could go. It's basically you set intentions, right? And especially in the beginning of the week, it's going to be so important. Most people don't really know, don't have an outlook or overview or what I like to call an itinerary for the week. So, what's your itinerary? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? Where do you want to go? How do you want to experience life? Just a few questions, because once you have an itinerary, once you have things goals, once you have things that you want to experience, then you're able to go and cultivate that. Once you realize something last week that didn't work for you and you want to change it this week, then you're able to transform that. Most people don't really create day to day, week to week. They re-suffer last week, or they relive last week, or they go through the same exact thing that didn't work for them. I know that because I've looked at my own life and I'm like, bruh, you don't have to do the same thing every week. Let's change it. If that didn't work this week, let's change it. And changing what? Talking about how you feel, how your energy levels, how your relationships, how you communicate with others. All of that is all together. Like who didn't you call last week that would benefit to call this week? Who didn't you hang out with last week that would benefit you to hang out with this week? What habits did not serve you last week that would benefit you to transform those habits this week? So every single week has to be from a point of reflection and then a destination. So from the last reflection should be shifts so you can go towards the destination. Not every reflection is you should just keep that mirror image of that. No, some reflections are supposed to be a growth out of it. Okay? So you're like, all right, what specific things? Boom. One of the major things that you could do today, and any day that's the beginning of every week, is just journal, right? Journal. Ask yourself what is it that you want, or ask yourself like what at the end of each week, do a weekly review first of all, which means did you review last week? Now, if I was honest with you, I didn't. I didn't review last week. It was my fault. I just didn't take time to do it, and that's how journaling. Sometimes you just don't do it. However, I can say today this is how I want this week to go, right? I could look. Here's a list I'm gonna put in my journal. Things I used to do that I stopped doing that if I kept doing them, my life would be better. Things that I used to do that I stopped doing that if I keep doing them, I kept doing them, my life would be better. So by that I mean what routine, what habits, what foods, what patterns of thinking that you did that you used to do, but you stopped doing it because you just fell out of the habit, and that you're gonna say, hey, I ought to do that some more. One of the things for me was not necessarily movement, but strengthening exercises because I move daily. Do strength exercises daily. By that I mean I don't lift weights every day, I don't squat every day, I don't deadlift every day. What I used to do is I used to go to the gym daily. I used to go to the gym consistently. I used to lift weights consistently. That's something that I used to do consistently that I stopped doing. I opted in for qigong. I opted in for running. But I don't need to switch or opt in it for that. I need to integrate it. So how do I do strength training while doing qigong? How do I do more weightlifting or body weight throughout the week? These are things I used to do that I stopped doing for a little bit. Now I'm getting back into doing. This little rubric, so simple, so basic. I'm not here to give you crazy concept, crazy ideas, just simple stuff. Can transform your life. Why? Why would this little rubric be so important? Because this little rubric allows you to look, reflect, and then shift. You have to reflect and shift. So this rubric says, I used to do that, but now I stopped doing it. Is it a smoothie a day? Now this week, that's definitely gonna shift. A smoothie every day, fruits every day. What stopped you from the smoothie? Like the other day, my blender broke. I need a new blender. This week I'm gonna be able to do a lot of juicing because I won't be juicing, but seafood gonna hook me up with the juice. But what I'm saying is, what did you used to do consistently that you're not doing, and how can you do it? So find out where you were really consistent and it was effective for you. What caused it to stop? Don't worry about too much what caused it to stop. Just focus on how now you're going to transform it. So how are you consistent before blessings, Ryan? Good to see you, King. So it's like, how are you consistent in this specific thing, and what caused you to stop being consistent? Don't focus on the cause, but focus on now readopting the habits that work for you. So whether that's the way you eat, whether that's the way you move, whether that's the way you think, whether it's your routine, whether it's your productivity, setting up your week level for success is not always about doing new stuff or doing new things or finding new ways of being. It's really thinking about what was the most effective for you. Now, last week I spent a lot of time cultivating my garden. I'm talking about my actual garden, planting, sprouting, weeding, putting up sticks, building new infrastructure, cultivating dirt, all of that. I spent a lot of time doing that. Guess why I needed that? I needed a break. Now, what were some things I did consistently that I stopped doing? Stopped posting my podcast every day. I took a week off. I didn't like that. I really didn't. It didn't feel so good. But now, guess what I'm gonna do? Today, I'm gonna post another episode. You get what I'm saying? I did the live, but I didn't post it on the audio. So the difference today and the other days is I am looking at a habit that worked and it works, and I'm working it. So take your journal out, whatever it is, think in your mind. What is a habit that, in fact, what is something you did last week that you want to do more of this week? That's another question. You're like, damn, these are some good questions. Very simple, very basic. Ain't not this ain't rah rah getting you hyped up. I just want to give you some little practical stuff. One of the basic stuff for me was last week I spent more time with my niece. I educated on her plan. I'm smiling just thinking about it. And I want to do more of that this week. So I need to figure out, I don't know if my sister's gonna stop by the house, but I know where my school, where my niece's school is. Maybe I can pick her up. Right? How do I need to call her? What do I need to do to create more of those same experiences again? So it's not just like, oh, what did I stop doing? No, what did I do that was really good? Peace, King. How you doing? What did I do that was really, really good that I'm gonna get back in the habit of doing again? Because you might look at your last week and be like, oh, I need to do that. Nah, last week there was something you did that was very effective. How can you do that again? How do you keep that momentum going? Keep that momentum growing. Okay, so that's gonna be a major part of setting up your week for success. Whoa, what's up? I see kings and queens in the building. Shout out to everybody just coming in. So what I'm saying is this: you got to reflect and you got to see what did you do and how can you do it better. What did you do that you stopped doing, and how can you get back to doing it? And then put it in the journal. Now, what's gonna be setting up your week for success? Also about your personal development strategy and plan. Most people don't have a way to personally develop every week, which means they're not developing in the way that they could be if they just added something to their study guide. So, what you gonna study this week? So what I'm saying is you gotta have something to study, that's gonna help you get better. Whether it's a book, whether it's a class, whether it's a course. I'm gonna join Rise and Prime, or I'm gonna listen to Ed Talks daily, or I'm gonna go to this seminar. I'm gonna read this book. I'm gonna learn about this subject. I've been talking a lot about men's sterility and what you put in your body. So guess what? I'm reading a book about it. So you want to strategically think about what you want, what you need, and then you put in your personal development plan what's going to help you build yourself up so you can be the type of person to achieve it. So you could turn your suffering into an opportunity to learn. A lot of people say, man, what you go through is not going to kill you if you learn from it. True. What you're going through is actually something that says you ought to learn more on this subject. So some people, they need to study health when they're sick, but they just feel so sick that they're sick of being sick, but they're not studying health and they're not doing health things. So when you study health, you you are then empowered by the very studying of it. What's up, Impress? When you study it, health, you're empowered by the very studying of it, and it reminds you what you should be doing. And then that reminder keeps you going on the right path. So you got to have a study guide, something what you're going to study today, how you're going to get better. If you're a healer, you should be reading books on healing every week on something a week. You know what I'm saying? You got to, like, for instance, this book. Now, I want to study organ diseases of women and sterility. I just found this random book. All right, what is it that I want to accomplish this week? Well, I'm studying this book, Master Key to Riches, because increasing my income is a priority for me. I'm also studying with the tribe, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. So 2 books by Napoleon Hill. So what I'm saying is you got to have a study guide, which means be intentional about your study guide. Because every single, look, we go to school and they give us stuff to study. Life is the first school based on the challenges and the opportunities that you see. Look, study because of the opportunity you can get by becoming better. Study because the strength you get to overcome the challenges by becoming better. What do I mean by that? Let's be honest, I am struggling with getting more people to join Holistic Lifestyle Tribe. I'm struggling with that. I'm struggling also with that disappointment in the morning and then letting that come out. I'm struggling with that. Let me be real honest. How can I enhance, get better? Oh, maybe I need to have more marketing strategies to get more people to join what I'm doing, communicate more. Maybe I need to put ads out. So what do I need to do to empower myself, consistently put in my mind? What do I need to do to reassure myself of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it so that I can stay motivated? What do I need to study? Do I need to study myself? Look, somebody says, oh, look, if you've been realizing how you're showing up, you're not really liking that. And I like to keep it real. I love keeping it real. I mean, there's nothing more than keep it real with you, because why else would I lie to you? So what I'm saying is this: I have to study myself and say, look, oh, why am I feeling like that? Oh, what am I holding on to? I need to let that go so I can grow. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just study guide. It's not study books. Study guide is study the current version of you and study the past version of you. So somebody like, oh, same 2 blue notebooks. How is this current and how is this past? Well, this was last year's journal. This is this year's journal. So this has information about experiences I went through last year. This has experiences I'm going through this year. By looking past at this, I can see some of the things I wrote down. I can see how I can transform it. I can go back and look at some videos I did back then and see what I was going to do in the same season and transform it. So the study guide is not, I'm just studying a book. I'm studying my book. A study guide is also, I'm studying the book of me as in my life. You're like, whoa, what you mean by that? Study what you're feeling every day, what you're going through. Somebody says that does not seem to, I don't know, that is not. Oh, you might need to keep a journal of when you're craving food. You might need to keep a journal of when you're inspired and when you're not inspired, when you're tired and when you're not tired. What time of the day is that? Study that, because it's going to tell you about what habits that's leading to that, what routine, how you can transform your routine, what rituals I need to shift, and what practices you need to add. I mean, it's an integrative, holistic approach by self-study. So setting up your week for success has a lot to do with studying. A lot of people don't study. They don't study themselves. They don't study how they're being. They just say how they're reacting. I know what I'm doing, even though I'm stuck in doing it. At least be in that power. And I'm not stuck in doing it. I'm just plain stuck like a possum. So what I mean by that is we're not stuck in doing stuff. We're just plain dead because we don't feel like moving forward from the stuff. So somebody said, is the possum dead? No, the possum is trying to survive. So don't have a possum mentality of survival by acting dead. Have a Zen mindset like a cat. I love cats. They just like, I learned from the cats to just sit in tranquility, right? They're not playing dead, they're just present. So don't play dead, be present with it. And out of that presence, do something with it. Say, I'm going to shift out of it. You know, self-awareness is vital, and there's power in realizing your weakness. There's power in realizing that. What's up, King? Good to see y'all in the building. So once you start from this point, every single week, you're able to get better. You're able to get out of the different states. You know what I'm saying? And you're able to keep it moving. I never have a bad day. I never get frustrated. I never get angry. I never feel like stopping. No, it ain't that. I want you to I want you to have a strong in spite mentality. It's not a spiteful. Look, it's not spitefulness. It's in spite to get the fullness of life. Ooh, a lot of people, they're just spiteful. That didn't happen. They did this. That shouldn't happen. That could happen. They're just spiteful about things. They're resentful. And spite gives you into a fullness because you say, look, in spite of that happen, I am choosing to reside in the spirit of, look, in spite of, like, this is happening right now. I don't like it. But you know what? I'm choosing to, it's a choice. To balance your energies, your chi, it's a choice. Look, somebody says, ask for wisdom. Wisdom is you being able to see your stupidity. You know what I'm saying? And being okay that it is there. And then choosing to do in spite of that. And by stupidity, I just mean stupidity is just doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. It's not, stupidity is not necessarily lack of information or education, or what some people would call ignorance. Stupidity is actually ignorance, ignoring what you really know and getting in a trance and not doing what you ought to do. That's stupidity. Or doing the same thing over and over and again when you know it's like hitting yourself in the head on the wall when you know you ought to do better. Wisdom says, do better. And you hear the voice. Wisdom whispers, Wisdom whispers, and animal nature screams. Get you some candy. Hey, late night eat. Hey, did you smoke yet? You gotta smoke, Ed. Hey, did you take a drink? Somebody says it's, okay, not somebody. The king, Brad, said, yo, is stupid and dumb the same thing? Now, I don't know, but we can say they are about the same thing. I can say dumb and stupid is just synonyms, okay? But if we say dumb means, oh, they don't know better, then that's the same thing as ignorance. You know what I mean? Some people, they just, look, I guess you can say dumb is ignorance. You just don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. So by learning, you know. So you're like, though, I really don't know what's going on with me. By listening to something that kind of educates you on how does this work, allows you to know. There are times where I just felt like, oh, there's just something wrong with me. And then I learned there wasn't something wrong with me. There was something not in alignment in me. Or there were habits that were not serving me. Then it's shifted. Oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm just horrible. To, oh, guess what? I just didn't know that this is how I need to do. I just didn't know better. Somebody says, can ignorance be a choice? Can ignorance be a choice? That's what ignorance is. It's ignoring the knowledge you stepped into. So now it's not that you don't know better. You know better, but you choose not to act in that better. That's stupidity. Some ignorance is a choice when you decide not to learn subconsciously. Ignorance is also a choice. It's not just, oh, I decided not to learn. No, when you decide you know everything, you're decided to remain ignorant because you're ignoring knowledge and you're stepping, oh, I know everything. Look, the ultimate ignorance is the choice of thinking that you can never learn. Like, you can learn from your nephew, your niece, the bug, the cat down the street, the every single thing can teach you. Okay. So ignorance becomes a choice when you choose to always do what you always known without saying, oh, I can do better. It's not always not knowing that's the problem. It's not wanting to know. It's the lack of curiosity is how you become truly ignorant. The man is not necessarily stupid. They're just not so curious. They're just stuck in their ways. Man is not dumb. Man has a capacity to learn. I'm talking that queen right there. She could definitely shift. She just says, "This is how I've been. This is always how I choose to be. And if I evolve or get better, I'm risking losing myself." That's ignorance at its ultimate. So you want to be able to choose what you want. Most people don't choose because they're living in the ignorance of their subconscious choice. So they think they have a choice, but they don't have a choice. They think they have a choice, but they don't. And the view have been listed: divine time to release from the chains of mental slavery. Mental slavery is basically a choice you think you have, but you're not really choosing. It's almost as if I gave you the illusion of the red and blue pill, but you didn't really make a choice. You simply took one of the options, but you didn't know that there were plenty of other options. That's not a choice. Look, if there's 20 choices, I present two. Did I give you a choice or did I just give you an option? There's a difference between an option and a choice. Choice is not limited to options dictated by society or men. Choice is dictated to the possibilities um, instilled within God by God. So by that I mean you get to choose how you live your life, not on the basis of what Ed said, not on the basis of what Bradley said, not what Liz said or Empress in the building says. Not too sure of your name, actual name, Queen. So I'm gonna call you by Empress. That's your name too. It's not on the basis of what everybody in this room is saying or what some anybody says. The illusion of limits is basically when you're limiting yourself based on the illusion created by all the by systems. So you're like, yo, you mean to tell me when you were in school, they gave you the option of professions? They're like, you could do that, you could do this, you could do this, you could do that. But they didn't say, oh, reveal your gift, and not that you just, yo, this is what you can do. This is no, you will create stuff that you never done before. So we want to get to that. But so getting back, all of this matters because if you're not intentional, then you're unintentionally choosing. The lack of intention is the lack of attention of what you're subconsciously doing that's either causing havoc that you don't notice. Most people are not intentional and deliberate about what they do. Start shifting that and becoming an intentional person. Start figuring out how do you enhance that and actually do it. Now, if I keep it real again, sometimes I say something really deep and then I leave here with that deepness and then I do not do anything with it. And that is stupidity. Allow you to call me stupid for a little bit. I'm a wise, stupid man. But I choose not to live in that stupidity. Okay? And we all can say that to some extent. The spirit drops it on you and you see it, but then you're so stuck in these ways that you just like, I don't want to do better. I know I can do better. I know I should do better. I know I could do better, but I'm not. So you're like, dang, how you gotta look, you gotta ask yourself this question. If I step into this knowledge of what am I depriving myself of in this moment by not acting with this knowledge? What am I deprived? It's not necessarily of what are you doing bad or it's not a question of morality. And I said that before. It's a question of what you can create. It's not a question of right and wrong. It's a question of what you can actually have. It's not a question of morality, but a question of what you have. So you don't bash yourself for not doing that thing. You just ask yourself, like, bro, if I really did that, how would my life be? Like, yo, if I really made these calls, like 5 to 10 calls to speak all around the world, how would my life be when I'm traveling the world, when my bank account is nicely looking, when I'm able to really do this in full extent? It's not a question of morality or right or wrong. It's a question of what the possibilities for you. All the stuff that I post is not judging nobody. I'm just, from my spirit, speaking of possibilities of being. And what I do as a speaker is whether or not I am living up to those possibilities of being, I express them because I'm a messenger of possibilities of being. So somebody says, well, Ed, you can't talk about that because you're not that. You're not a woman. Somebody you can't talk about that because you're not going to that. You can't talk about that because you're not at the level yet. You're not, no. You don't know my spirit. So I can talk about what I want. What I want. Because it's in the spirit. Look, if I'm able to be the vessel for it to come and express it, then I can go back and study it and learn from it and grow from it and become better. Right? So you must not run away from the fact that you are blessed and inspired by the ether, by God, infinite intelligence, that you have information that other people don't have. You must not feel burdensome by it. It's a responsibility. Now, responsibilities can feel like a load. But my question for you is, you got to look at it. Are you holding a cross? Some people hold the cross and they're like, man, I'm about to be crucified. Oh no, I got to carry a heavy load. And this is just an analogy. Oh no, I'm about to be. Somebody says, oh, I'm carrying this cross, but this cross on the other side is my freedom. So responsibility is when you step outside of you and understand that the burdens or the loads that you carry are not necessarily for the condemnation of you, but it's for the transmutation of spirit, from living from a bodily place, carnal nature, man nature, to being the divine God and transcending from just physical to the spiritual realm, So when Jesus died on the cross, many may have looked at it like, yo, man, this man is whatever. He like, yo, I know what I'm doing, And that type of faith in knowing that you're not gonna die from it, and being able to say, even if my body does die, I'm gonna live on. Now, what makes you think? Why would somebody like MLK, why would great leaders sacrifice their safety for the pursuing of their dreams? Why would they do that? Well, because look, they're not afraid of losing their body because they know what their true spiritual body is like. You know what I'm saying? And they're willing to carry the cross because they understand that on the other side is transcendence. Okay, and if you want to ascend, you gotta, like Brad the writer says, your consciousness have to supersede matter, but you must always be aware of your persona. Okay, and that is us absolutely true, and that's the constant reflection. I think we're able to reflection. Our consciousness is precipitous, but we must be aware of a persona. It's like this. It's like I come to you and say, yo, I'm a spiritual being, and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm really from this, I'm really from that. But I also gotta say, like, bro, I'm actually a black man from Haiti. And I gotta understand that it's part of my culture, that this is what I'm going, this is what it is. So it's not just like, oh, I know who I am, but I also know who I am in this current stage that I'm playing, this character in this world with this body. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta understand that. So we can't just be, oh, I'm all transcended and forget that, oh, yo, you still live like, yo. So when I like, if somebody says, what do you do? I say, oh, I'm a motivational speaker or coach. I know that's not really who I am as a spirit. But what we're doing is we're putting it in layman terms. So that way the structures of which we live in could understand the full capacity of who we are in a way that their mind can comprehend it. It's like, if really, look, and I love to talk about Christ because that's just my thing. Don't gotta be your thing. You got your thing. I got my thing. Let's just spend kumbaya and all of us do our thing. Is that possible? Okay, Christ consciousness. That's what I believe. One of the major things is this. Look, God is not gonna come down as God, because if God came down as God, you like, I don't understand what, I cannot get the splendor of you would not understand it. So God came in the form of men, and Jesus is an example of what's inside of all of us. So you're like, man, I'm looking for God. Well, recognize God in you. So God puts us here in a specific way, and this caricature playing this role, and we got to understand that it's a role we're playing, but remember who you are. Somebody says, remember who you are. That's not necessarily, somebody, they're going to hear two things. Remember who you are, remember where you came from. These are two places. Look, there's a city you came from, there's a town you came from, there's their culture, but you can also came from the ether. Now somebody says, what is that? You came from a source I don't know too much about, but I know enough. I really don't, because the grandeur of that source is just too, it's out of my human capability, right? So where you're from, like, oh, remember where you come from, remember who you are. It's both. Okay, it's part of your culture. Don't let go of your culture. You need to keep that. That's why I want to focus on Haitian medicine. You know, somebody said, well, it don't matter. We're not Haitian, not black. We're all Moors. Now you're creating a new identification. No, you're not. We're just human. Okay, cool, cool. I understand I'm human, but I'm this type of distinct human. I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm just saying I'm Haitian, and this is my culture. So remembering who you are is also remembering what kind of made you in this realm, but also remembering that you're not just Haitian. You're not just American. You're not white. You're not black. You're not just black. You're a spirit. That's what I told my niece. So it's just it's understanding from all perspectives. And when you know that, you gotta set up your week for success. When you know that, you gotta do certain things every day to bring yourself out here. When you know that, you demand of yourself responsibility to deliver your gift. When you know that, you keep doing it whether you feel like it or not. When you know that, you keep showing up whether you have expectations not being met. When you know that, you just keep doing it over and over and over and over and over and over again. You never stop because you know. Okay? So that's the episode today on setting up your week for success. Shout out to everybody tapping in. I'm grateful you were here with me, tapping in on this beautiful day. To those who's ready to understand, let your ears hear. And if you don't understand, just listen. Your spirit knows everything. So that's my message, and I'm sticking to it. The Holistic Motivator. I want to thank y'all for tapping in. And you can support this podcast many ways. One of them is leaving a review. It's a podcast, so it's not just an Instagram live video. If you go on your podcast platform, blessed day, Liz. Good to see you. If you go on your podcast platform like Spotify, we get on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Facebook Podcasts, YouTube. You can leave a review. And another way to show your boy some love is to actually send your boy some money. I'm like, oh, you gonna say just like that? Right. So just like that. Hey, you from Africa? Who calling me from Georgia? Yeah, I'm gonna call that person back. Shout out to you. Shout out to you from Malawi. Okay, I see you. That's beautiful. Well, listen, if you want to support the podcast, y'all, Cash App, Ed Talks, or leave a review. That's just two ways you can support. I'm gonna leave that up for a little bit. Just send some gratitude, send some love, send it like, look, send $1. Just like you, I see you. Send $1. Anyways, y'all stay blessed, stay in your power. Remember, you have the unlimited power in you to achieve whatever it is that you want and to construct the person that you were created to be and the person that you are. But first, you got to believe it in order to achieve it. And until that happens, the world forever miss all your talents, all your gifts, and all the great things you got to offer. So remember, share your light, don't hide it, don't dim it. It's the Holistic Motivator for another Ed Talking Daily. Peace. All right. Y'all have a good one here.